Okay, Mr. Wagner. How long have you and your family lived in Eatonville?
Approaching 6 decades. First person to settle in the town. There are so many cousins, I'm not sure I'm able to answer the question. I was in junior high school at Robert Hungerford High School in attendance there in the late 50s until I graduated there in 1961. There, many students excelled in mechanics, farm culture, and domestic development.
What is your fondest memory of living in the town of Eatonville?
Work and perseverance shown by the Eatonville community. Part of the vision, post-Emancipation Proclamation, but free STEM industrial and domestic. My appreciation that Eatonville represented innovation and pre-industrialization with winning presents at county fairs, for example. Robert Hungerford School excelled in fields of mechanics, carpentry, textile trades, and agriculture, which enabled both male and female students to work in occupations situated in neighboring Winter Park and Maitland. Following graduation, the students, as far as county bounds from Zellwood, not only that, but throughout the southern United States, there were students, Orange County and Seminole counties attendees would be bused to the Robert Hungerford School in Eatonville.
Okay. So tell us what makes you most proud to be a resident of Eatonville.
Maintaining a gracious hope to continue in Eatonville's forebears' vision, a societal emancipation of proclaiming implemented inspiration of the 1887 idea into the 21st century. The experience and leadership in this town, Annie that is, and Lorenzo Hall, who were from Hampton University, Virginia. Lorenzo Hall was a Hungerford principal who had served in the U.S. Army as a captain. Amy and Leroy Fillmore, who were longtime educators and community leaders in the area. Louise Franklin's family served as stewards for the AME, St. Lawrence AME, the founding fellowship that served multiple denominations. At that time, multiple denominational, interdenominational. She served long time as town longtime clerk as well as other services that's community services. The Franklins have served almost from the town's inception. Joe Clark, founder and charter leader, and Tony Taylor made a difference in the chartering. Nathaniel and Rosetta Vereen were educators and community servants as well. He also served as a long-time mayor. Cecil Allen, for instance, Arthur Glover, Ed Cole are some of the entrepreneurs that Eatonville produced. It's been said that Reverend J. Hurston disfavored a jail. He stressed morals in the town. A chitterling chain classic would be Eatonville's entertainment section, known as Club Eaton and the Rainbow, where the marquee would display greats like Sam Cooke, the Staples, Louis Armstrong, Nat King Cole, Sarah Vaughan, Lena Horne, Red Fox, Pearl Bailey, and the Four Tops. The categories that these artists performed were in jazz and blues, classic quartets, also gospel, instrumentalists, rhythm and blues, and comedic genres.
The town that freedom built. What does that slogan mean to you?
Gracious perseverance. I'm honored to be an octogenarian heir of the forebears of post-18th century idea of those gracious people, along with and joined who inspired Mary McLeod Bethune, Booker T. Washington, Joe Clark, Tony Taylor, Robert Hungerford's dream or vision. We could inculcate today.
So tell us about your work experience at NASA.
Well, it was in the late or mid 60s that I become associated by being in attendance at Brevard, at that time Community College, which is East Florida University, I believe now. The era in which I served as material control clerks and also in reliability was 1967, 68, and 69. January 27th of 67, the Apollo tragedy occurs in which astronauts Virgil I. Grissom, Edward H. White, and Roger B. Chaffee lost their lives during a pre-flight test due to the command modules catching fire. That winter as well, November 9th, the Saturn V was rolled out from the VAB, Vehicle Assembly Building, slowly to launch pad and lifted off for the uncrewed Apollo 4 mission, making it the first ever launch. In the spring, April, Surveyors 3 launched on the 17th and landed on the moon on the 20th. It took the first photographs of the Earth from a lunar surface on the 30th in color. And then that summer in 67, Robert H. Lawrence was selected by the United States Air Force to be amongst the third group of aerospace pilots for the MOL program, making him the first black astronaut in any national space program. Further in 1968, October, that winter, October 11th, first crewed Apollo mission, Apollo 7, lifted off, and the first live TV broadcast of Americans from space was held on flight day 4, October 14th, 1968. Further that winter, December 21st, Apollo 8, first manned mission to the moon launched. December 29th, same 1968, NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, released the first ever photograph of the entire Earth on this mission, December 29, 1968. Finally, we come to the years when layoffs and reduction in force began. I can't recall exactly who was the national administrative executive at that time. I'm not sure whether it was a Nixon or not, but in the summer of 1969, 9:44 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins were in Earth's orbit on the Apollo 11 mission, Saturn V, in which I had worked earlier, and out of high school and technical school, I had worked at Martin Marietta and doing the Pershing ground support system. I just happened to recall that. But the summer again in 1969, July 20th, 10:56 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Armstrong took the first step on the moon and uttered his famous quote. Aldrin followed slowly, and after explored the surface for 2.5 hours, taking photos and gathering samples. July 31st, 1969, Mariner 6 flew by Mars and began taking the first TV images of Mars. Those were the area or parts of the decade that I enjoyed being experimental with the aerospace and the space explorations.
If there's one thing that you would want us to remember about you and your life in Eatonville, what would it be?
That we turned the page from Emancipation Proclamation, and from proclamation to liberation, which with Eatonville established began to be realized. In Central Florida, native, migrant, and immigrant found favor at St. John's. Whole goal was to do domestic development, which led to the setting and the settling of the town and the chartering of the town by 30 visionaries, in which 300 dreamers had envisioned at the emancipation that this would be more real liberation would be more involved. But the 4 million souls, faithful filled souls, were in having hope, and Eatonville did get to be established thanks to those visionaries. There's 27 to 30 individuals from the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner.